I finished 83rd in the entire world last year in UCL Fantasy. I did that by heavily targeting the group stage games with an early wildcard and Limitless 2 to get the most out of the best fixtures, as that's where most of the fantasy magic happens. I then backed Dortmund players to the final against the odds and caught some big boy hauls too to get a top 100 finish, damn son. But this year, it'll be completely different. The old Champions League format for the group stages saw 8 different groups of teams all play each other twice, so you know exactly who is playing who whenever just by looking at the groups. So you could back the team with the easiest group, Bob's your uncle, you get all the fantasy points, simple. However, the new format, completely different. Where now we have one massive league, so even if teams aren't playing against each other, they are still actually competing against each other and need to do better than one another. You could also see teams winning majority of their games, but based on other results, they may not actually yet qualify for the knockouts, meaning all of the games, even right up until the end, could be important, unlike before. We also now have seeded fixtures, which means 2 teams could play against each other, but then they don't have the same fixtures for the rest of it. That makes a lot more variety in the fixture list, where teams of the same caliber could have completely different fixtures to play, and I think this now makes the fixtures even more important than it ever has been for UCL Fantasy. We now also have 8 match days in the group or league phase now, instead of 6, so even more tasty fixtures to target too. I still think this makes the group stage or now a league phase the best time to use your chips, as all of the best teams are still here, but more importantly, all of the worst teams to target are also still here, so it is definitely the place with the most upside, where the most fantasy points are up for grabs. Definitely use your chips right here. For chip strategies then, a lot of people are liking the looks of a Limitless in match day 3. That's because some teams that do have great opening fixtures, such as Dortmund and Bayern Munich, play Real Madrid and Barcelona, so you don't really want their players for them. And we also have teams that don't have great opening fixtures like Arsenal, Girona and Juventus do have much tastier fixtures in match day 3. The best time to use your Limitless isn't just for the week you're actually going to use it in, but it's also what team you could have either side of it to make the most use out of it. A wildcard in match day 6 is what a lot of people are licking their lips over, as the teams that have the best starts up until match day 6, like Dortmund, Barcelona and Atalanta, don't have the best last 3 match day games. And some are also thinking around then we'll kind of know who still has everything to play for, who may be resting players in the last couple of games. So you can target all of the early fixtures, then use your wildcard when all of the teams start changing. For myself, I do not think I am quite locking in a chip strategy just yet at all, as the league phase stretches all the way until the end of January. What? Haaland could be retired. Mbappe might even score a free kick by then. That's how long it is. So I think the best chip strategy for now is actually to just not have a chip strategy and just be flexible and ready for whatever happens. But my very own UCL Fantasy 2024-25 first draft looks a little something like this. Oh, damn, son, that is pretty damn sexy. So up top, I've gone for the Erling Haaland, because, you know, robot scores all the goals. And then Kylian Mbappe, he was pretty good anyway, but now he's in Real Madrid, literally OP. And Victor Gyökeres, who is actually, like, outscoring every other player in Europe right now. So, yeah, got to have him in. The midfield is proper stacked with no big boys, but everybody who could score all the points. With a Lamine Yamal, will still only be 17 at the end of this Champions League. Get back to school, son. Florian Wirtz, who somehow stayed at Leverkusen. Like, he's even hiding from his fault, or he doesn't want to get transferred to another team yet. No. But for 7.5 mil, that is still very sexy price. Michael Olise should be starting for Bayern. I think he should. And hopefully, it looks like he is right now. So for 6.5 mil, could be a bargain. Luis Diaz is almost matching Salah this season so far, and is a bit cheaper. So 7.5 mil could be very good for him. And Declan Rice, baby. As long as he doesn't get any red cards like he did for Arsenal in the league. Then at 6 mil, he could be great value because, you know, we have the ball recoveries. I've mainly gone for players that could get a big upside and get all the goals. But him, he's got the ball recoveries and could take some set pieces as well. So decent price for 6 mil, I think. Then in defense, I've tried to go for the more attacking defenders like a Trent, who, yes, for 6 million is a bit expensive, but he could get a goal and assist in any given game. So I think he's pretty damn good for 6 mil with how solid Liverpool have been defensively. Josko Gvardiol has not been so attacking for Man City yet, but I think in the Champions League, Walker might likely to start over Rico Lewis, and then Gvardiol will probably be more attacking. I'm just hoping that because I'm actually picking him. Then we have a Danny Carvajal who attacks so much, he attacks other players and gets yellow card every game, but he can still get some big boy points. Ian Maatsen, who is a bit risky. yes, he may not start, but thankfully his game first is actually the first game, so we will know if he starts before we have to lock in our team. So for now, I think he is in for the Villa. And finally, I've got Kurbasi, definitely not an attacking player, but 4.5 million, potentially starting defender for Barcelona. Get him in. And then in goals, Kobel is my #1 choice, so I was like, right, I need him. He's only 5 million. He's got great, good fixtures right at the start. And then looking at goalkeepers that don't play on the same day as him is actually pretty damn difficult. But thankfully, we have managed to find a goalkeeper in De Gregorio. That just sounds like a FM generated name, but you know, we'll take it. Because he could be a starting goalkeeper for Juventus for just 4.5 million. Oh yes, daddy. He plays on different days to Kobel, apart from in matchday 3, but Kobel guaranteed clean sheet against Real Madrid anyway, so it doesn't matter about that. But that is how the team is looking right now. So the team structure I've decided to go for is just having 2 premiums in here with a Haaland and Mbappe. And the good thing about these two is that they play on completely different days. So every day I have the opportunity to captain either one of them if the other one doesn't score big. But we have at least a guaranteed good captain every week. And then around that, I've tried to go for players that in their own right could be incredible value, and all of them could have big boy holes in them. Yes, sometimes it's good to have the enablers and the players, you know, you're going to get chip in with a good 4 or 5 pointers, but I'm kind of thinking last year I went all in, and that's how I reached 83rd in the world, which you know is right there in the title. I got to keep it everywhere, you know, you got to flex on it when you actually reach that high, right? But I'm kind of thinking to actually win it, you need to have a team like this with all players that could go big. If a couple of these get, you know, the 10, 12 pointers, then amazing stuff, you have a chance to win. And that is exactly what I've done. Spread the money. Every player has big boy potential. And what I've also done is I've chose players that are not only good for right now, and not only great price too, and are not only just the best players in the world. I could just keep going, you know. But I've also chose players that should be completely nailed and could potentially start every single match day up until their team is definitely guaranteed qualification. As yes, you could go for players, you know, with a shorter fixture run. You could go for a few cheeky punts that are good for just game week 1, 2, 3, 4 and all that. But what I'm kind of thinking is I might not wildcard until 6, 7, 8 match days. So I'm kind of thinking that every single player here should be good enough to keep a longer term, because right now our group stages or league phase now has more matches. So I think now, instead of what we used to do before, only choose our match day 1 squad just for like the first 3 or 4 game weeks, because we would just end up wildcarding or limitless in it anyway. I think now you need to be a bit more conscious of players that are better longer term, and all of these guys right here should be just that. So that is my first draft done, completed. UCL Fantasy. You might as well quit, lads. Bacon Boy has already won it. But that is going to be all for today. Let me know what your first draft looks like. And also, remember...
Don't be a cheeky scrub. Subscribe to Nathan Bacon right now. Don't let your memes be dreams.